Malaysia has confirmed its first citizen to be affected. The country has now 10 confirmed cases.
Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. As we all know, the world is currently at war with the coronavirus 2019, or what we call COVID-19. It is an infectious disease caused by a newly discovered strain of coronavirus that causes respiratory infections in humans. On March 11, 2020, World Health Organization (WHO) officially declared that COVID-19 had become a pandemic. The impact of COVID-19 on the world economy as a whole has been devastating, and Malaysia is no exception. So in this video, our team will present about one of the consequences of the pandemic, which is loss of employment, or LOE.
Dan untuk itu kerajaan memutuskan untuk melaksanakan perintah kawalan pergerakan. Sehubungan itu kerajaan telah memutuskan tempoh perintah kawalan pergerakan akan dilanjutkan. Kerajaan hari ini memutuskan untuk melanjutkan pelaksanaan perintah kawalan pergerakan. Sehubungan itu saya ingin mengumumkan bahawa perintah kawalan pergerakan PKP yang dijangka berakhir pada 28 April 2020 akan dilanjutkan untuk tempoh 2 minggu lagi.
As COVID-19 outbreak started to escalate in the country, Government of Malaysia issued the Movement Control Order, or MCO, effective March 18 to March 31st, 2020, as one of the measures to curb further spreading of the virus. This order later extended in several phases, with the latest phase, Recovery MCO or RMCO, extended until December 31st, 2020. This resulted in a slowdown of the economy, leading to high unemployment in the country. Before I elaborate further, Google will help me to briefly explain about the problem.
Hi everyone, now I will explain problem about loss of employment, LOE, in Malaysia because the coronavirus disease 2019.
Firstly, persons in unemployment is a who working, but because this pandemic they lost their permanent work. Those of working age who were not in employment carried out activities to seek employment during a specified recent period and were currently available to take up employment given a job opportunity. Secondly, it's about social security organizations. SOCSO reported job losses in the country has increased by 42% year-on-year for the first quarter of year 2020. Beside that, it also forecasted will accelerate from April 2020 onwards, with job losses increasing by 50% to 200% year-on-year for each subsequent quarter in 2021. Thirdly, Central Bank of Malaysia, BNM, expect Malaysia's unemployment rate to shoot up to 4% this year, from 3.3% in 2019, while retrenchments rose to 29,605 persons per annum, compared to 23,168 persons in 2018. Retrenchment is defined as the termination of any employment contract by the employer with a compensation package.
This is last but not least, Department of Statistics Malaysian (DOSM) stated that the unemployment rate in Malaysia escalated 0.3% to 5.3% in May 2020 but 5% in April 2020. The number of unemployed persons increased to 47,300 persons from 778,800 persons in April to 826,100 persons in May.
Thank you Google for the explanation. To summarize, The statistics reported by SOCSO, BNM, and DOSM are evidence that LOE is at an alarming level in Malaysia and had becomes a problem.
Next, let me explain for part 2, cause of problem, downturn of economy due to MCO. First, the cause of high LOE in Malaysia is the downturn of economy. COVID-19 pandemic has uncovered the fragilities of global supply chain, leaving both job and business at risk. Second, in a healthy economy, households supply labor and capital to business. For example, labor in the form of workers and capital in the form of money paid for goods and service. Economic cycle is complete when business produce goods that are bought by households using their wages. Thus, MCO implemented disrupt this change and affect the economy as a whole.
Malaysian police have set up more than 500 roadblocks since the country went into lockdown almost 48 hours ago.
Third, MCO comprise evidence of regulations that restricted production and consumption activities. It resulted in a drop in consumption and demand. 1 million jobs in manufacturing supply chains in Malaysia, in particular in the automotive, electronic, and garment supply chains, are at risk due to the global drop in consumption. Lastly, business has resorted to reducing as way to survive. This is because they are incapable to pay their debts without demand for their product. Thus, creditor will not get their money back. And the last choice is retrench or reduce employee to limit loss. So, conclusion from part 2. Downturn of economy due to MCO is the cause of increasing LOE in Malaysia.
In Malaysia, the massive and ongoing outbreaks of the virus have become a serious threat with profound consequences for the loss of employment. To lower the LOE rate, Government of Malaysia has taken several actions to recover the economy.
Justru kerajaan akan memperkenalkan pakej ransangan ekonomi 2020 bagi memastikan risiko ekonomi berkaitan penularan wabak ini dapat ditangani dengan berkesan.
Initially, at the end of February 2020, the then Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, announced a 20 billion ringgit economy stimulus package or PRE 2020 intended to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. To summarize, this package aimed to stimulate the travel industry, easing cash flow, and providing support to affected individuals. Among the approaches by the then government was to ease the financial burden of the hospitality industry by giving discounts of electricity bills for travel companies, airlines, hotels, shopping malls, and etc. Giving service tax exemption for hotels from March to August 2020, and giving 600 ringgit one-off payments to taxi drivers, tourist bus drivers, tourist guides, and registered trishaw drivers. Furthermore, an allocation of 40 million ringgit has been provided to SMEs involved in food production and agriculture. 1,000 ringgit grants have been allocated to 10,000 e-commerce entrepreneurs, and 20 million ringgit has been given to Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation so that rural internet centers can be transformed into e-commerce hubs. With the implementation of this package, the country's economic growth for 2020 is projected in the range of 3.2% to 4.2%, and the fiscal deficit is estimated to increase slightly to 3.4% of GDP.
Seperti yang saya janjikan, hari ini saya akan mengumumkan pakej rangsangan ekonomi prihatin rakyat atau prihatin.
On March 27, 2020, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin announced a new package as part of continuous efforts to reduce the effects of COVID-19 on the economy. This package is worth 250 billion ringgit and has been designed to safeguard the people's welfare, support businesses including SMEs, and strengthen the economy. Later on, in April 6, 2020, Prime Minister also announced another package called Prihatin Plus in addition to the previous package Prihatin to further ease the financial burden of SMEs and subsequently assured 2/3 of the workforce to remain employed.
Kerajaan akan memperkenalkan Pelan Jana Semula Ekonomi Negara. Pelan Jana Semula Ekonomi Negara atau secara ringkasnya PENJANA.
Subsequently, the government unveiled a 35 billion ringgit National Economic Recovery Plan or PENJANA in June 2020 to propel forward the nation's economic growth. PENJANA will focus on three key thrusts: empower people, propel businesses, and stimulate the economy. From this plan, 9 billion ringgit will be directly used to address rising unemployment and benefit over 3 million workers nationwide. Financial incentives will be put in place to encourage companies to recruit unemployed individuals. This is not a complete list, but only a snippet of the government's efforts to recover the economy and reduce LOE. However, not all businesses can be helped with these aids. Employers who have yet to retrench staff are embarking on cost-cutting proportions nonetheless. One of the most popular methods is to reduce salary. Employers should, as a first measure, remove all discretionary payments and non-contractual benefits. This may include freezing of salary increments, annual bonuses or promotions. Private premises owners are encouraged to contribute in the revival of the economy by reducing or waiving rental during the MCO. The responsibility to rebuild should not be only on the government. Public and private sectors should work together as one. The effects of COVID-19 are enormous. Not only many people died, but a lot of them also lost their employment due to the collapsing economy. Businesses that have been established for years have collapsed in just a few months. People of all age groups suddenly lose their jobs. The recorded number of unemployment in May 2020 is the highest in the last 34 years. As our country arises from the MCO, with the gradual relief of restrictions, the questions on people's minds are how the economy of Malaysia can be restored and what can be done to restore businesses and increase employment. Government of Malaysia has made a commendable efforts to protect the economy with its initiatives and recovery plan. However, it's only short-term measures. A comprehensive long-term plan also needed to strengthen the economy. As the economy recovers, the unemployment rate will decline due to rising labour demand. When we talk about people losing their jobs, we wonder, how are they going to survive? How are they going to support their family? How are they going to put food on the table? How are they going to pay their bills? As for our group members, we are fortunate that we did not lose our jobs. Besides being locked in our homes and annoying our spouses, or being driven crazy by our children, we are not really affected. We could eat our meals as we want and pay our utility bills. We even save some money on fuel due to not traveling or going to our office. We are incredibly grateful to Allah for all the favors that He had gave us. We also pray to Him to give us strength, resilience and patience to face this challenging test. Ameen.